Hey, everybody. Welcome to the brand new rollback format of the Rich Roll podcast, where we share the best episodes from our audio only catalog with all of you guys. Currently, almost 300 incredible evergreen conversations are nowhere to be found on YouTube. And so, to begin to remedy this misfortune, we bring you episode number 63, all the way back from January of 2014, with the infinitely inspiring Josh LaJaunie. This episode actually began with a tweet way back in the day. Josh reached out to me cold, sending me these before and after pictures of his dramatic weight loss to kind of thank me for inspiring him. And I just found these images and the change that he had experienced so astounding that my first thought was, can this even be real? This 400 plus pound guy on the left bore almost zero resemblance to the guy on the right. It was frankly stunning because Chris Farley had suddenly morphed into something like Bradley Cooper. Truly a manifesto on life transformation, this episode represents the detailed personal account of how Josh accomplished what many would deem impossible, dropping over 200 pounds, along with this lifelong addiction to unhealthy foods and lifestyle habits, to ultimately discover a passion for running and, of course, plant-based eating. And it's a feat that's even more impressive considering that Josh lives deep in the heart of southern Louisiana Bayou country, which is a place not exactly known for healthy eating, and having to risk complete social outcast status in doing so. So how did Josh do it? Well, you're going to have to listen to find out. So here is Josh LaJaunie in one of the most inspiring and heartwarming episodes in the history of this podcast. Enjoy. Yeah, dude, we're rolling.
All right.
So thanks for taking the time, man.
No, thank you. This is really actually quite an honor for me.
It's it's an honor for me. I got to tell you, I was trying to remember how it went down, but I think what happened is you tweeted that before and after picture.
Right.
And tagged me in it, and I saw it, and I was like, holy smokes. People send me before and after pictures all the time.
Right.
But yours was definitely maybe the most dramatic, not just because of the simple weight loss, but because the after picture, you didn't just look like a guy who lost a lot of weight. You were like a guy who was super fit all of a sudden.
Which has been my goal, right? Which has been my goal, and it hasn't been all of a sudden, obviously, but yes, absolutely. And turning to plants has really that's how that transformation happened, because I stopped caring about weight, ironically enough, and started caring about optimal health and fitness, and it really became my biggest goal and driver. And discovering plants and people like you and Brendan Brazier and Scott Jurek along the way, Scott McDougall reading Born to Run, those things literally, without hyperbole or being dramatic, it literally changed my life, man.
Well, it's so cool to see you killing it right now, and I think that's a really important point. And I was reading the document that you sent me, which we're going to get into all that, and we're going to get into your story and all that kind of stuff. But the thing that jumped out at me the most in your story was that point where you had already lost quite a bit of weight, but you had kind of started to stagnate a little bit, and things had started to even out, and you still had a long way to go. And you made this decision that it wasn't going to be about weight loss. It wasn't going to be about what the number on the scale said. You were just going to focus on getting fit and let go of the rest of that. And that's kind of when it all shifted for you. And you had this, you sort of broke the glass ceiling on the whole thing.
Absolutely. Because I've lost nearly 100 pounds more than once in my life. I have done that before, right immediately after my college football, short-lived college football career ended. I did drop nearly 90 pounds after that, but it was just for pure aesthetics and for the sake of losing weight and looking better.
Mm-hmm.
And it never really cracked for me to be healthy. And that's what running in plants and this whole epiphany has really brought about to me, and it helped me turn that corner. And I think probably being older and a little bit more mature has helped with that sort of with that process also, you know.
Right. So how old are you now?
I'm 35.
35. All right. So let's take it back to the beginning. So yeah, because your story is pretty cool. I mean, people say to me all the time, like, you know, who inspires you? Like, who are the people that, you know, really motivate you? And honestly, man, you know, it's not like some professional athlete that did this or that. It's guys like you. It's like the everyday dude who, you know, no one's really looking at them. They're not in the public eye or anything like that, and they just make this decision and turn their lives around in such a huge way. And you know, people are always saying to me, you got to have like have some average people on, have some normal dudes on the show and let them tell their story, you know. And you are like, you just left off the page as one of these guys. So let's see. So you have this sort of ill-fated stab at college, right? Like what happened, man?
Well, I probably honestly thought I was a little better than I was. I did get a full ride scholarship, and I was so proud of that fact. And I just sort of almost kind of rode the wave on that alone.
So hold on. So you grew up in the New Orleans area?
Correct. I grew up in a small town called Thibodeau, which is it's on the Bayou. I live in I'm like part of, I guess, the country knows about swamp people and all of the different deal with our new Hollywood South sort of identity down here. A lot more people with all of the film trucks and crews. A lot more people know about who we are now, as far as characters, anyway.
So you're like down there, like it's Creole country, pretty much.
Oh man, yeah, no, we coon asses, bro. This is, you know, we Creole's a little fancier than what we are. We are pure Cajuns. Grew up fishing and hunting, and you know, making, like I say, making roux and stews with anything that moves. Right. You know, that's what we grew up doing, man.
Nice. And so you're playing football in high school? Yes,
absolutely. I sure did. I played ball in high school. And in high school, I was about 6'3", 280-ish, 290-ish. Mm-hmm. And it got a little bit bigger every year. And I got some looks in college in my senior year. And the one college that was really interested in me was willing to give me a full scholarship. They wanted me to switch over to the offensive line, which I had played defensive line throughout my whole high school career. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I really wasn't pumped about playing O-line, but it was an opportunity for me. And they told me to put on some weight. They wanted me to put on some weight. Mm-hmm. So I get up there, and I'm 330 now. I get up there and I go through my training camp.
So you were 330, and they wanted you to put more weight on?
No. At my end of my senior year, I was closer to about 300.
What were you weighing? What did you weigh in high school?
In high school, I went from about 280 my sophomore year up to about 295 my senior year.
Holy smokes! So were you just a big kid, or like how'd you put so much weight on? How tall are you?
It's just natural. I'm 6'4" now. I was 6'2", 6'3" in that area in high school. Yeah.
So were you one of those kids who was just always the biggest, strongest kid in the class?
Right. Yeah. I was always the big kid. My grandfather's a big man. I come from big people, and you know, my grandmother kept us heavy.
So what was when you were growing up? Like, what was the typical meal in the house, or what was a day in the life of food for you?
Oh my goodness. Well, my grandfather owned a construction business, and I spent a lot of time spending the night with them and getting up to go to work in the morning. Now, what we would do before anybody ever got up, what woke us up was the smell of bacon in the morning, and my grandmother cooking biscuits. And so we had bacon, biscuits and gravy, the standard scrambled eggs. She did these awesome fig preserves. She made all of these different things. And so every meal in the house throughout the day was a completely one-off meal, brand new, fresh cooked, hot meal. Breakfast, we came home for lunch, and it was a hot meal for lunch, and the same thing for supper, and we had snacks all in between. It was all about food, and the food was the love in their mind. They come from, a more meager beginnings, and I feel like a lot of their agrarian background and the Depression era folks, I feel like they really kind of overcompensate with food because they had so little back then, and they want to make sure that the people they taking care of really understand how much they love them via food.
Right.
I feel like that happens a lot,
Right. So do you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, sure do.
So how many of those?
I have a younger brother who's about 2.5 years younger than I am. Also was a football player, also a big man, and who he by the way, he to date is down almost 150 pounds. Wow. since he's followed me along. Because when I first brought it up as an idea, he's like, "Dude, really? You're gonna give up meat and crawfish, and you're gonna give up fish?" And I mean, it just blew his mind, I said, "Give me 30 days and watch me. Just give me 30 days," and we did it that way, and it worked out. And so my little sister, same boat. My little sister is about 5 years younger than my little brother, so about 7.5 years younger than me, and she's a lot shorter than we are. We both big stature fellas. Like, we take after my grandfather, who's the patriarch of our family, and he was 6'3" in the high 300s my whole life. Right, that was we call him Bam Bam, and he was 380, 360, 380 my whole life. Wow. My little sister has she's got really heavy too, and so that's it. That's all of us as far as the siblings go. It's just the three of us, me and my brother and my sister, and I have two little cousins as well. The youngest of those two little cousins, first cousins, he's like 6'3". He's like 6'3", 290. He's a senior in high school right now.
You're a big family.
Yeah, we are.
That's like a reality show right there. Right? All right. Yeah. So you go to college. They're putting you on the offensive line. You beef up. You beef up to about what, 330? I think you said.
Yeah, 330.
And so what happens, man? What happens in college then?
It sucked. It was not. You
weren't having a good time.
I was not having a good time. It was a completely different mindset playing on that side of the ball. It wasn't what was in my heart. I was heavier than I had ever been, working harder against better players than I had ever played against. And it just wasn't, I wasn't feeling it. And then lo and behold, I get hurt. My back starts bothering me really bad to the point to where I got a bulging disc and all of these other issues going on that I could have probably in retrospect maybe rehabbed through and pushed through and sat out a season and corrected myself. But I hung it up instead and came back home after that little stab.
Right. So not only was football done, you were done with school too. I mean, you just weren't happy. You weren't happy in the school itself, outside of off the field.
Right. I was not happy, and really because where I had gone, because I'm from South Louisiana, and I had gone up to rural Arkansas. Right, and the campus was in a dry county. And that was a big deal for me. I mean, I'm a college kid.
Yeah, that's no good for college.
No, man.
How are you supposed to? Wow.
So what I do once football's over for me, and I decide to come on back to Thibodaux, and I get back here and I go back to Nichols, and then, kind of just go off the deep end. When I try to go back to just school and no football at all, kind of go off the deep end and and have a real good time with all the people that I missed. And then I flunk out, essentially. I just flunk out.
You're just having too much of a good time.
Yep.
You're just making, yeah. So you're making up for the fact that you're not an athlete anymore, and you can just let it all hang out.
That's exactly right.
Right, and that was at Nicholls State.
Yeah.
So is that the one in Arkansas, or you transferred to a different school?
I transferred back home. The one in Arkansas.
Nicholls State. I got you. Nicholls State is in Thibodaux. I got you. All right, cool.
That's right.
Yeah. So you just partied yourself right out of school.
Sure did.
You did?
Sure did.
All right, man. Sure. Yeah, I know what that's like.
Yeah. That's why it resonated with me so much, man. And you know, being an older guy when I first started trying, you're the one that made me go, hey, it doesn't matter how old I am. I can start attacking these runs just like it's almost like runs, almost like my second chances at proving my athletic prowess, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I mean, you definitely, embody that. So I mean, do you hit a bottom with all this stuff? I mean, after you drop out of college, what are you doing? Are you working with your dad or something like that, or what's happening?
No, well, not quite yet. I'm just kind of floating around, taking odd salesman jobs. I bartended a little while and did those types of normal things, and then I wound up working with my grandfather eventually,
right.
And
doing construction.
Doing that, right? Doing construction, and he's got rental property and stuff, and so I started doing that. And my grandmother passed away in 2001, and so I had to take more of a leadership role in that whole front. And
with the business or with your
the
family?
business, and right, with the business and with the family, and helping him in a more real way.
And it sounds like your family's pretty tight.
Yeah, very, very tight.
Right. All right. So you're stepping it up on the business front, and so, but you're just, so you're sort of moving up in that world, right? Like things are going along all right.
Right. Moving. That's right. Having a little bit of a purpose. Right.
So where do the wheels really start to fall off the wagon here?
As far as food goes, the wheels were always off the wagon. That was the MO for my family and really for the entire region. The wheels are kind of off the wagon.
They're permanently off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The truck's just up on cinder blocks.
Yeah. I mean, we're in love with a lot of bad things that we actually identify with more. It's more than just food. It's actually who we think we are. It's actually our culture. And there's so much more to it than that. Then that's my biggest reason for reaching out and trying to be a voice, to show the people that I call my Bayou brethren. They still don't really get it and don't know that. I almost feel like I've turned my back, or I feel like other people might feel like I've turned my back on a big part of our culture because I don't partake in some of the food or most of the food.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that adds a really interesting, sort of dimension and complexity to your story, because not only do you have this sort of personal, war you have to wage to, get fit and lose all this weight, you have to butt up against all of these cultural mores and ideas about, whether it's, what it means to be a man and the way you have to eat and the kind of things you have to do.
Right.
And you're taking a different tack and going in the other direction. And that causes a lot of, I would imagine, like social problems for you.
Oh, goodness, man. And that's what I tell people all the time. The food isn't really as hard as ignoring noise. It really is. The noise is the bigger thing than anything. Oh, you're not going to have a drink? Like, I mean, I've done enough. I've had enough to last a normal human their entire life as far as bad food and alcohol goes. I'm good right now, And getting that across to folks down here is I feel like an alien sometimes. But it needs to happen. It needs to happen for a lot of us.
Right. I mean, I live in LA, and essentially we're all pussies here, I mean, if there's one place, I mean, you can eat the way that you eat or I eat here. And that's just the way it is. It's like, that's the way most people, not everybody, but nobody's going to give you a hard time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's very welcoming and opening. So, I haven't had to kind of combat the kind of issues that you've had to come up against. I mean, getting back, I want to get into all of that in more detail, but just getting back into the kind of timeline narrative. So, you're just progressively putting on weight every year, I assume. And it's just, the quality of your life is sort of, I mean, you're doing okay with the job and all that kind of stuff, but your health is progressively starting to deteriorate.
Right. I'm just getting heavier and heavier. And along the way, I meet my wife and marry my wife and get even more comfortable. She convinces me actually to go back to school, which I didn't understand why I needed to go back to school. And I did. And during that process, I started to learn, really, for lack of a better way of putting it, in a way that I had never understood before. And I understood how to seek facts and find facts. And as I got a little bit of an education outside of just working with my hands, I started to understand that, there's some things wrong here, man. It's not okay to not fit in the desk, dude. And it's not okay to break a sweat walking from class to class. And I mean, and all of these things that I started to get really sort of embarrassed about. I really felt a real a need to change. And, I felt like I was now becoming more equipped to go, okay, let's start doing something. I was really embarrassed about doing presentations, and I put that in that little thing that I wrote to you. Right. And I didn't want to have to stand in front of people with my shirt tucked in, and that was a big deal. And but I would just worry, just sort of aimlessly. And one of my lifelong buddies just calls me out the blue one day. That's how, one of these things, how the universe works. Just as I'm worrying and thinking, my phone rings and it's my partner, and he says, "Hey, dude, I got to join the gym, man." And we just have that conversation,
Right. So it's funny that it kind of, it coincides with this decision to kind of go back to school. I mean, that comes from a place of, on some level, a desire for, greater self-esteem, and then kind of going to school and developing that self-esteem, not having to be the guy who dropped out of college and actually kind of taking care of business. And at the same time, the kind of, depleting, devolving self-esteem that comes with getting progressively, heavier and heavier and all of that. Right. And those two worlds, become incompatible with each other after a little bit, right?
Right.
So yeah, this weird, I often think like life can boil down to, these tiny little moments, these little sort of occurrences that could mean nothing or could mean everything, and so you get this phone call from your buddy right at the exact time when you're starting to get ready to do something about this. And, for me, I had a similar kind of thing. It wasn't as dramatic as your event, but, when that little opportunity meets that willingness and, crazy, amazing things can happen.
Yeah, I mean, and I tell him to this day, he's a grown ass man with his own family. But I tell him to this day that I love him. Like, I love him for that. And it wasn't because he saw his buddy getting fat and his buddy, he was worried about him, and he wanted me to come with him. Right. That's as simple as it was,
Right. So you're helping him and he's helping you.
Yeah.
Like the best way to do it.
And that's
anyway.
the best, a win-win. Yeah. How you get better than that?
Yeah, because you have accountability to your buddy because he's going to show up at the gym at 5, and if you're not there, he's going to be pissed.
Right.
And you guys can keep each other on track.
And we're gonna rag each other. We're going, hey, what's up? You couldn't get up this month? Oh man. But you got your pink drawers on today? You know what I'm talking? I mean, we could go get on each other about it. That's
Right.
it.
Right. So, and at this time, you didn't even know how much you weighed, right? Like this,
No
you were
clue.
just off the scale, like literally off
No
the
clue.
scale. The scale wouldn't go as high as you were.
No, man.
Right.
It wouldn't. And you know, my wife has a little scale, and that I would get on, and I had been getting on it for you know, a couple of years, where it just had little E's across it. That's all it would say. E. It had like 4 E's, and I guess that signifies error.
Right.
And that was it. And even when I would go to my doctor's office on the tall, regular, normal doctor scale, it only went to 350. So the lady, when I would go in, the lady would slide the little weight all the way to the right, which was 350, and I would step on it and go clunk, and it wasn't even close to registering anything, you know?
What was your doctor telling you when you would go in for your checkup or whatever?
Not a whole lot. Not anything about my weight.
Really?
Nothing. Because it's so normal down here, man.
Wow.
It's so normal down here. And to be frank, you know, my doctor's a friend of mine. And so you kind of don't, I think you kind of would feel you have some reservations there to, even if somebody does need to do something with their weight, you know, I think there might have been a little bit of reservation there to not hurt someone's feelings, maybe,
right,
or embarrass them, because he just would deal with the task at hand. If I went in there because I rolled an ankle, or I went in there because I was feeling sick, and he would give me a cortisone shot or whatever I was there for, that's what we dealt with. We didn't deal with me being big, because so many people have that problem here. It's not. That's all they would be doing all day, every day.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's what he should be doing.
I know.
I mean, what does he say now when you go in?
He is blown away. Completely blown away.
He has to be.
He is. He is. And because I actually did. It's a funny little side story. Not funny. It's just a little side story. The last time I went to him, I was feeling lightheaded a little bit. I would get up. When I would stand up quickly, I would get a little lightheaded. So I went in to see him, and he was like, "Holy cow, man, what have you been doing?" And I told him about plants, and I told him about running, and everybody makes little faces when you say, you know, right. That you know. So anyway, so he puts me on the heart monitor thing, and then he winds up sending me to a cardiologist to make sure that everything's okay. The cardiologist puts me through a stress test and does all kind of stuff, and the cardiologist he's like, well, dude, because at the time I had lost 175 or 180 pounds. He's like, well, dude, that's why you're getting lightheaded. You have all this extra vasculature, all these extra veins that's been going to all of this far reaches of your enormous body that is not doing that anymore, and your heart just can't get blood to all of the far reaches of those veins as quickly as you can move now. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that all makes sense. But I knew that I was going to be training for a marathon, and so did my doctor, and that's why he sent me there. Everybody needed to make sure that Josh wasn't going to hurt himself doing this, reaching out so far outside of what had been my box.
Right. So, but back to the scale.
Sure.
I mean, your wife went out and bought a scale that could handle a man like you, right?
Right. Yeah.
And what does it top out at?
Well, it was. I
mean, where do you top out?
Right. It was.
Heaviest.
I still don't know exactly where I topped out, but this was at 397. Okay, was my first time that I looked at the scale and saw a real number for how much I weighed.
But now, that's already after you'd been working out and kind of started taking control of stuff. So it's conceivable you weighed more than that at some point.
Yeah, I think it would be conservative to say that I was probably more around 410 easily, because I was losing weight when I was so heavy. I was losing weight at such a rapid pace because of how heavy I was. It was easy to lose weight in the beginning. And
Right.
so I think it's very conservative to say that I was 410, 415
Yeah.
pounds to start with.
I mean, when you weigh that much, I mean, what are the kind of things that people might not realize that you kind of have to deal with? You know, whether it's sort of
Think about things that would be really fun to most people. Like, say like, I'll take my honeymoon for an example. My wife and I we went to Martha's Vineyard for our honeymoon, which was an amazing, amazing place. Well, in the commercial air on the flight, think about a foreigner being a 6'4", 400 pound man in coach on a commercial flight. Not fun, right? You got to be embarrassed and ask the lady for a seatbelt extension, and you are making everyone next to you uncomfortable. My poor wife, she's got to sit, and we lift up the armrest so I can spill over into her side. But I'm still, you know what I'm saying? And so that
you have to buy
part's
two seats. They make you buy two seats.
No, nobody ever made me buy two seats. But we were strategic about where we would sit, and my wife is a lot smaller than I am, so that helped a lot. That I was able to take up half of her seat.
Right.
And but there was a Cessna flight that I wasn't prepared for on that trip. And
because you got to take a little island hopper,
right?
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was not prepared for that. And so my
She's
wife
laughing.
She's
still laughing at you.
It was,
You were fat when she married you.
Dude.
When she think now?
I'm actually, yeah. Oh, she always says she's always held, because my wife, if you see our wedding pictures, you go, what the hell was she thinking? But she's ecstatic. She said she's always loved me no matter what, which that feels really great to know. And she's actually bought into the whole lifestyle with me. She just did her speed work in a 40-degree rain, 15-mile-an-hour wind that we're having down here right now. So we're in a little mini competition amongst ourselves right now, actually.
I like it. She sounds like I think she's a keeper.
Oh yeah, definitely a keeper. She's a keeper. And so, but yeah, we're in this little Cessna, and I have to actually just kind of put one butt cheek in the seat and fold my leg up in the aisle behind me. And the lady the pilot, I'm basically sitting up on the pilot, on like right behind her. And actually she moved me up to the front of the plane because it's such a small plane that she needed to shift the weight. And it was very awkward, and it was very, very embarrassing and very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm laughing because it's all funny now, but like it's not funny. I'm sure it wasn't funny at all at the time. And this is a problem that a lot of people have to deal with, and it creates all that kind of shame, and it makes you want to not engage with the world. And I mean the trickle down effect of just the stuff that you have to deal with on a daily basis, and the amount of energy output that it requires just to do something that would be simple.
Stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly. I was listening to an interview recently. I can't remember where it was, but it was this guy Dave Asprey, he calls himself the Bulletproof Executive. He's got a podcast. It was on some podcast, but anyway, he was talking about how a lot of people who are really overweight have trouble losing weight because everybody tells them that they need more willpower. And what people don't realize is that people that are tremendously overweight are exerting more willpower on a daily basis, by far than the average human being, because the amount of willpower it takes just to sort of do the daily things, you have a finite amount of willpower, right? And it's expended on just that. So to ask somebody to go above and beyond to handle what seems like, an obvious thing for somebody who doesn't have to deal with that is too much to bear.
Right. Yeah, I get it.
So, all right. So we're orbiting around the 400, 410 area, most likely, right?
That's right.
And so you're hitting the gym, and you don't really have a plan. You're just meeting your buddy at the gym, and you guys are starting to turn things around. So, what is that? What are you doing? You're just going to the treadmill, or are you doing weights, or
No,
what's
I'm not
happening?
even doing the treadmill at this point.
Right.
I'm just at the gym, going back to my old football roots, lifting weight.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Bench pressing.
I'm bench pressing and doing bicep curls and
And
those
go, how come I'm
squats.
not losing weight?
Right. And so what I was
You were
losing
just by
weight,
probably
like,
just by moving your body. For
correct.
once.
Just because I was doing, and one thing that I did change from the old workout was I had increased my intensity because at this point I did understand that I didn't know what I needed to do. And so I was actively seeking information through this whole process. And I was looking at places like Men's Fitness magazine and finding these like interval training and circuit training. So whereas before I do 3 sets of 10 and drink water in between the sets and all of these things, now I was doing exercises and I was rotating through circuits and stuff. So even though I wasn't doing cardio on the treadmill or running or anything like that, I was lifting weights in a way that was really more intense than I had ever done before.
Right.
And so I was keeping myself sweating, and man, weight was just pouring off of me in the beginning. It was just pouring off.
But meanwhile, you hadn't really started to take a look at your diet, right? So you going home and having the jambalaya and the gumbo, or like what are you eating at home?
Just doing less of it. Quantities. I was worried about my portion controls, kind of a vibe. That's what I was doing, really. Mm-hmm. And then on the weekends, it was a complete free for all the beer and whiskey and po' bars that I wanted. It was like took the weekend off and work like a crazy man during the week, take the weekend off. And I did, and I lost a lot of weight while I was doing that. But it's because I had so much to lose that it came off kind of easy in the beginning.
Right.
You know?
To lose? Oh, to lose. I thought you were giving me some weird Louisiana term or something.
Oh,
to lose, yeah. Yeah, so you end up dropping like, in a pretty, short period of time. I mean, you drop like 60 pounds right away, right? Just
right.
by moving yourself.
Because you got to remember, my main goal in the beginning was to look better in a suit. Mm-hmm. Because I knew I was going to have to don a suit and get in front of people who I already felt awkward around because I'm 10 years older than everybody anyway. Mm-hmm. All right. And so, and on top of that, I outweigh everybody by 200 pounds at least. So I'm trying to mitigate that as much as I can during my senior year. So when it comes time for my 490 business class and I make my big, coup de grace presentation at the end, I don't look like a sweating fool up there because I knew the material, I knew what I was doing, and I knew I could talk about it, but I was scared to be distracted by how bad I felt like I looked.
Right. And so by the time you graduate, that was where you were 60 pounds down, right?
Right. That's correct.
So you're 320 and change, right? At that point.
That's right. That's right.
And then you sort of flip the page and a new chapter starts with this idea about maybe trying to do a little running.
That's right. And it just clicked because the gym that it's called it's called La Russa's.
Uh-huh. Sounds like an Italian restaurant.
No, it's just a coon ass name. It's Mr. La Russa. So, but there's also a barber called Le Rodin's that almost said Le Rodin's instead. Uh-huh. But anyway, it's located on Tiger Drive, which I went to Thibodeau High School, we were the Tigers, and the Tiger Drive passes right in front of Thibodeau High, and the gym is on Tiger Drive right down the road from the high school. And so I would pass down Tiger Drive, and I would see this man who I've known very well. My wife has known him all of her life. I'd see him on the sidewalk doing this weird little, like I would laugh, like a little jiggle, and it was barely faster than a walk. And I'm looking at it, I was like, hell, if Mr. Jeff can get it in, I can do that too. Uh-huh. So that's what I started doing. I would just do that little jiggle. And my buddy Jeff my the man that I modeled my initial running form after, his name is Jeff as well. But my workout buddy at this point, his name is Jeff. So Jeff would walk next to me as I would do my little jog jiggle thing. And that's how I started, man.
All right. You started with a jiggle.
That's it,
You were
dude.
just out jiggling.
That's it.
Right.
Man.
So it's kind of like a waddle, like a walk, like a little more like brisk than a walk, but
Right. And it was just kind of like it was more with the upper body. Like it looked like I was doing more than I was, you know?
right.
And
Right. And how far would you do that for?
a mile.
Uh-huh.
A mile. That's where I started. And then after I would do the mile, we did the mile after our weight routine every day.
Right.
And then I started wanting to get faster in that mile. Started wanting to go, well, damn, it took us 15 minutes to do that, you know? And then so I started working my way down, and I wanted to get it down below 10. And, you know, it took a long time, and I was still in the 12s, you know? And one thing leads to the next, and I was like, I wanted to give myself a little shot in the arm, something like a carrot on a stick, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And that's when I told my buddy Jeff, I was like, hey, let's do the Crescent City Classic, man. Let's sign up to do it right now. And we're gonna work towards it.
That's like a 10K race.
That's a 10K. That's correct.
Right.
And
how far away was that? Like how much time would you have to prepare?
It was a few months, huh? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It was a few months.
So you set a goal.
Yes, I set a goal.
Right.
I set a goal.
And so what's the plan? Like just go further, faster?
Just long miles. That was my thing. I wanted to get distance. I wasn't worried about how fast at that point. I just wanted to be it. My goal was to run the whole Crescent City Classic. Mm-hmm. And
that's pretty lofty goal when you're just out there jiggling for a mile, right?
Yeah, it was. And in training, and what caught me was this, because we would do our training pre-daylight hours because we work. So we were at the gym at 4:30 in the morning, and then we'd go run after. And then, so the furthest I ever got in my training, quote unquote training for the 10K was 4 miles. That was the longest nonstop run I had completed, and that was just a week or so before the Crescent City Classic.
Right. So you go into this you're not sure how it's going to go.
Right. Well, first of all, the night before the Crescent City Classic, we in New Orleans having a good time. We get a bottle of wine and a cheese plate at a place and some Gouda beignets and like
I don't even know what that is.
Well, it's a type of a cheese made into a beignet, which or beignets. That's how maybe the rest, right? Fried cheese bread, basically.
Gotcha. Okay.
Completely delicious. And we drank a couple of bottles of wine. This is pre-race. This is my night before the race. Then, so we get up and we go and we late for the start line. We get there. I'm all excited, but we get there and what I failed to realize in all of the training was we had never run in the daylight.
Right.
And so we take off and we start running, and not only am I just slightly hungover and I'm not really fueled up correctly. We take off running and it was really taxing. It was really, really taxing on me. Mm-hmm. And I had to start walking in mile 3.
Right. Because of the heat, the humidity.
And
all that fried cheese in your belly.
And the night before, now I know it was a terrible idea to do all that stuff. I mean, it sounds like, duh, but really, in my mind at the time, it was like, man, I'm about to go run 6 miles tomorrow. I can have whatever I want. That was literally the logic there,
Right. So, all right, yeah. So you cramp up and you finish it, but you didn't run. You had to walk.
I wasn't proud of my effort at all.
Right.
I wasn't proud of what I had. I was happy that we did the Crescent City Classic. I did get through it, but I wasn't really proud of what I had done.
Right. It took you like just under 2 hours, right, to do
Right.
it.
I just ran, yeah, the picture that I put on the before and after that you posted on your Facebook,
Hmm.
that I ran that half marathon in 1:58:44.
Right.
So it's quite a difference.
Right. So, yeah. So at this time, I mean, you're 320, right? So you're down about
Right. That's
77 pounds.
that's right.
Right.
That's right.
But you got a little momentum, right?
I did because of how that race went. I was like, no, we got to do better than this, you know.
Hmm.
And so my wife started. That's when my wife started getting on board, and she joined a gym here in town, and she started doing her thing too. My brother saw me complete a 10K, and that's when my brother wanted to get involved as well, and all of these other people, and it felt good, you know, that
Right.
hey, we all can do it. We can do it. And
Well, I think,
so
yeah, you have, I mean, you're figuring out how to set goals.
right.
You're creating community around what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You have accountability to these people, and you're making it fun with the people that you care about.
That's
I mean, that's like the recipe for success right there.
right, and that's what when I was listening to Jeff Spencer the other morning, and when he goes through those steps that you were talking about with him, and all of those things were just like going bling 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 in my head. I was like, wow, I'm doing something right. I feel like I could be on the path to something really cool here.
Mm-hmm. And so, all right. So what's next then? What's the next step here?
So the next step is my wife. Once she gets involved, we set another lofty goal. In my opinion, at the time, was to get it done in under an hour.
Yeah, you're going to cut your time in half.
Cut it in half.
Right. And you got a year to get ready for this, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Got a year because we decide after that race that day that I'm doing it again, and I'm gonna do it way better. And so
you got this time to do it, and around this time too, you know, the other kind of thing that jumps out at me from your story is this. You know, you're starting to reframe this idea of what's possible and redefining the idea of impossible. And I think that is, you know, through the lens of this culture that you live in, where maybe, you know, it's not encouraged to kind of step outside the norm and say, I'm going to do something that's a little bit different from everybody else.
Right. Especially with all of this, you know, kind of hippie stuff that I'm partaking in these days.
Right, man. What's happening?
And it's not
You're losing the thread, man.
Right. And it's like everybody, but there's a lot of folks that see it and go, you know, maybe there's something to it. I mean, you know, Louisiana, Mississippi are bottom of the barrel when it comes to health and comes to obesity or top of the class, however you want to frame it when it comes to very negative things, you know. And I think it's time to adopt a new normal here.
Right. I mean, when this is happening, are your friends giving you shit, or are they giving you a pat on the back? I mean, what's the reaction? You know, you've lost a bunch of weight, but you're hardly the way you look now.
No, absolutely. And everybody was pumped for me they were more happy. They were very happy that I was losing the weight and that I was looking good. That's the constant compliment is, you know, oh man, you look so amazing. You look good. You're losing some weight and all of that. But yeah, everybody was really happy for me. And really pumped about the running thing, you know?
Mm-hmm. Right. So you're getting encouragement. All right. And now you're going to get ready to try to cut your time in half. So where does the kind of new look at food start to creep into the equation?
That happened right around the time I had started preparing for that part, it didn't fully happen. My new look at running itself happened in my training for that second Crescent City Classic. The food epiphany came after.
Oh, I see. All right.
Okay.
So we got another year of you just
Right.
progressively learning how to run.
Right. And I'm looking for role models in that activity, you know, and that's when I read Born to Run at that time. And I was like blown away at how people run 50 miles, people run hundreds of miles. This was like crazy. It blew my mind. And I was like, and here I am. Okay. So 10 miles is not that big of a deal. And so I basically just kept doing exactly what I had been doing all along, with maybe more salads and less po' boys, but still plenty of beer, whiskey, and po' boys along the way. So we get, and I think a lot of it was just me getting lighter. In that next year helped me really shave that time down. And having my wife, who was actually outrunning me the whole time, chasing her down really kept us on pace, and that's how we got below the hour.
Right. So you finished it in 59 minutes, right? So you achieved that goal.
Yes, it was very close, and I was in my little marathon photo things that you get after races that you go online and you get every one of them, my action photos, like the one that you see now, but every one of those photos for that race looks like I'm about to die.
Yeah.
Because I'm redlining it because I want to make this goal, and and then so I get it done, and I'm like, cool, got it done. That was pretty taxing, but after that race, we go to one of my favorite po' boy places. Right. And we go to one of my favorite po' boy places, and I have a beer and an oyster po' boy, and we have some chili cheese fries, and a Barks root beer.
So there's people that listen to the show that live in different countries and all that kind of stuff. So no, I just want you to tell people what a po' boy is.
A po' boy
is
a sandwich made on a French loaf. All right. Very chewy French bread, and tons of mayo, lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, and fried oysters is my favorite. That's what I used to always get. So it's a sandwich and it's a loaf, an entire loaf of bread, basically, that's split long ways, and then you slather it with mayo, and you put shredded lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, and you have your meat of choice, and mine was always fried oysters was what I would get. And so here we are post-race after this enormous exertion, and that's what I've put in my body immediately after. And we really felt like crap after we ate all of that, because I had read Born to Run. I knew what I probably should be doing and what other successful runners were doing, and I did that.
But it's also natural to just go out and celebrate too. Like no one's gonna, what I mean? And so at this point you lost 120 pounds.
Right.
So you're tipping out at 285.
Yeah, in that neighborhood. That's right. That's where I was.
But you kind of normalized there, right? Like it had stabilized.
I did, because we were getting close to Mardi Gras at that point. All right. And so what happened after that race, okay, me and my wife both, well, I might have the timeline a little mixed up. I think Mardi Gras comes before that. But anyway, what happens is we wind up because I felt really guilty after that meal, and I felt really bad physically after that meal. And my wife winds up reading about eating clean, and that's when the food thing started to change. I didn't really want to do that. I really wanted to just keep doing physical exertion, the physical exercise, and just eat less of the bad stuff, but still have it as part of my
Yeah, you're still holding on.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, and you're thinking, if I just keep running, I can get faster every year. The weight's still going to come off.
Right.
All that kind of stuff.
But that stuff started to slow down.
Right. So you're pretty much plateaued at 285.
I was plateaued, and then deep down in my heart and in the back of my head, I knew I had done that before. I hadn't lost quite that much weight before, but I knew I had lost a lot of weight before. And once it started to slow down, I could see it. I could really see it start to go back. I could imagine it coming all right back.
So in the past, when you dropped a ton of weight and then regained it, I mean, what were you doing to lose it, and why did you regain it?
Well, I would pick a goal weight. So I would say, I want to get down to 250. And then so that's what I would do. I would like I don't know if you've ever heard of John Gabriel, but he talks a lot about being able to get weight off of your body through sheer force, how that's totally possible. And that's what I would do. I would just work really hard and eat a little less and make the weight come off. And I would get to that goal weight, and then I would celebrate with po' boys and beer and have a good time.
I know.
And then slowly float right back up to where he was, and all the time, I mean, that's exactly
it's the normal thing, because all the emphasis and all the focus is on hitting that number. And once you hit that number, you've achieved your goal. You take your foot off the gas, because you're not changing your lifestyle. You're not creating a new sustainable lifestyle that you're going to be able to live with over time.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. The eating clean thing, even though it still included meat, eating clean made me feel a lot better. Mm-hmm. No processed food, and it really made me feel a lot better. And it was at that point is when I saw that, the documentary Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. Mm-hmm. It was while we were eating clean. Right. And I was like, holy cow, this guy did this, And with the trucker, the guy Phil and that thing, I'm like, it blew me away,
Right.
And the way he broke it down with the little cartoons about your body, all the processes and your body needing clean fuel and all that, it all made sense,
Mm-hmm. So this has you thinking about maybe doing something completely insane.
Right. I actually did try the juice thing. Okay. And it didn't do. My wife slapped me earlier.
How many days did you make it?
I made it 3 days.
Three's not bad.
I made it 3 days, and I thought I was gonna die. I felt like I had the worst flu on the planet, and I was like, And in retrospect, I went from eating way too unclean to going to that far. I think
it's pretty extreme.
I made too big of a leap.
Right.
But it did make me rethink the meat thing. And that's when I was like, what's another clean? And it's just a progression that happened, because after that is when I saw Forks Over Knives. And then I saw Forks Over Knives, and then I saw Food Chain, Hungry for Change, and I saw Food Matters, which Netflix I have to give a huge shout out to for helping me along this process. It's been invaluable to me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so, and after watching all those things and hearing all those guys spew forth about need to give up animal products, need to give up meat and dairy and all of these things, after I heard it for about the 5th or 6th time, I was like, okay, let me try it. And that's when I brought it up to my brother. I said, I'm doing it. Because I was also telling my brother about all of these things along the way. And I was like, a lot of these people seem like they might contradict one another a little bit. And, it's not necessarily 100% consistent message all the way through. So you got to take what you hear with a grain of salt. Mm-hmm. So when I tell him that I'm going to go completely plant-based, he's like, what happened to that grain of salt, bro? I said, just give me a chance and let me try it, and then, let's see. And the rest is history after that.
I mean, were they just looking at you, rolling their eyes, going,
yeah, absolutely.
He's completely lost his mind?
People still rolling their eyes at me. and crinkling up their face when they go, well, what did you do? And then I tell them, and then they go, I just can't do that. Well, no, you can. You just probably won't.
Right. But you had this willingness to try this. I mean, did you set an expectation for it, or you just went into it completely open, like, let's just see what happens?
Completely open. I went in, I knew that I didn't want to go back like I'd always done before in my life. And I knew it was time for something that was going to be real. And I knew I needed a way of living and eating that was going to be sustainable for me, because I like to eat a pretty good volume of food. That's comfortable to me. That feels good. I like to eat food. I don't like to feel like I'm starving. And that was the biggest thing for me, was understanding that, I can eat, man.
Right. And what do you think? I mean, why didn't you say, well, I'm going to just start eating maybe more plants? You know, what was it about where you were at that you were ready to just turn the volume up to 10 and just do it 100%? Because I think a lot of people struggle with that idea. Like they're like, yeah, I should eat more vegetables and whatever, but I'm not ready to completely let go of the other stuff. Like they want to keep their little toe still on the other side of that line.
Right. Well, for me, what it was I had started really to fall in love with running. And so I was reading about folks like you and Brendan Brazier, reading y'all's books and Scott Jurek, and every one of y'all was the exact same message over and over and over. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm not aiming to be an ultra marathoner, but if I do want to do this and be a runner, like the runners I see running around New Orleans and going up and down St. Charles Avenue and around City Park and around Audubon Park, and if I want to be one of those guys, I feel like this is what I need to do. And that's really what helped me along with going completely plant-based, was understanding that if I want to be a runner, this can really, really help and is optimal fuel for it. I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding, so to speak.
Yeah, well, it definitely is now. I mean, did you set like I'm going to do it for 30 days and evaluate, or just I'm doing this? So 30.
I said 30 days, but I really kind of felt like I was going to wind up sticking to it very shortly after I started, because the clean thing had started working. The clean eating felt so good for me, and then that was just a matter of removing the chicken breast, because that's really all I was eating was chicken breast and fish. So it was just
that fried cheese still.
No. The fried cheese is a thing in the past.
Right. So all right, so you jump into this. I mean, how'd it go? Like the first week?
I had no qualms with it whatsoever.
So
I really did.
Just agreed with you from the beginning.
It agreed with me from the beginning. I loved it. The only issue that I had was trying to figure out how to really like kale in the beginning, because I had read so much about kale and all of these things, and I was struggling with kale a little bit, to be honest.
And what about getting, you're still 285, you like to eat a lot. Like, what about volume or making sure that you feel full at the end of a meal, stuff like that?
That's how me and kale got to be friends. because I could eat a bucket full of kale with I would make this little dressing. Right. Well, before Chef AJ, because my wife's telling me Chef AJ's dressing really helped me out with kale, which it absolutely did. But before that, I was doing my own little thing with some spaghetti sauce and stuff that like out of some, organic stuff from the jar, which I don't
spaghetti sauce on kale salad.
Yeah. I was putting spaghetti sauce on kale, mashing it all up. But the kale, I felt like it held its shape better down in my stomach when I understood what stretch receptors do and stuff like that. So I knew that I needed to get my stomach to be able to be satisfied. I needed to fill up my stomach. And so kale, I felt like did that in a better way than say some other, softer lettuce would have done.
Right.
And that's how I would get my volume of food that I wanted. That's where it started, you know.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, what were the kind of initial noticeable differences that you started to feel?
My clarity of mind, and how energetic I was. I didn't have any issues getting up because, like I said, we're early morning gym people. We still are to this day, very early gym people, and that was just, I was up, bright eyed, bushy tailed. I was ready to rock and roll. I stayed sore for a shorter period of time after giving workouts, after runs. I felt
recovering more quickly.
Right. I felt lighter on my feet during my runs, so it made me get, like, as I started to adopt better form, it was easier because I felt more springy. I just felt amazing. And the biggest one, though, for me was lighter, and not in the sense of not being a big fat guy anymore, but lighter in my gut. Like, my body's getting rid of all of this unused food and it's not sitting in there. Mm-hmm. And so there's this natural cycle that's supposed to be happening that's happening. And that regularity, I know we talk about weird stuff now that we eat plants, but that regularity is a big part of my life. I love it. You know, I feel amazing.
It just slides right out.
It's amazing, dude. It's crazy.
And the other thing that I love about your story is that this, you know, at this moment in time when you made this switch, that coincided with that moment where you decided, you know, forget about the scale. Like, it's not about the number. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing this to lose weight. I'm doing this because I want to be a runner, because I want to be fit and healthy. So you shifted that mindset away from that kind of temporary goal that had you rubber banding in terms of your weight, and focused on changing your lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the key. And I think that's why you've been able to maintain it.
Right. And I feel like, and everyone has their own opinion, but from what I've read and my experience with this whole thing, I feel like we're obviously basically just animals here on the planet Earth. We happen to be fancy animals, but I feel like we were, like McDougall's book, we really were born to run. That's what we've evolved to do. And I feel like we've evolved to eat plants and run, those two basic things. And if you want to be the most natural human form that has sprung forth from this earth to do whatever, but if you want to get in touch with that natural human essence of that being that you're supposed to be, I feel like running and plants is where it's at. That's just that's what I've adopted along the way. And it has really changed my outlook on everything.
That's beautifully put. And you're officially a hippie now.
Yeah, I know. And I'm scared.
I mean, beyond the kind of, you know, off the plate, you know, beyond the food conversation, this process of learning how to run and learning to, you know, get better at it and really embracing the joy that comes along with that. I mean, how else has that affected your life, you know, in terms of just, you know, this sort of changes, you know, personal changes that kind of occur when you spend that so much time with yourself, like out running, you know, like I know the answer for myself, but I'm interested in, you know.
Well, I spent a lot of time. I used to do a whole lot of running with earbuds with music blaring in there. And I still do from time to time. Depends on how long of a run I'm on and all. But most of the time, because now I'm running, you know, 13, 14-mile runs, whereas before I run a lot less. I spend a lot less time out there. But it's almost like a meditation kind of for me. I've been reading up on meditation here lately. That's kind of like my next phase in the metamorphosis, I feel like. It's a natural progression for me. I've been real interested in meditation and maybe even moving towards yoga some. Mm-hmm. But practice my breathing while I'm on my runs, and I find a lot of parallels between my run breathing and the meditation breathing that I've read about a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps me think about some really deep things. I really just get a real peace when I'm all by myself and it's me and my breath and my footfalls and the scenery, whether it's in New Orleans or here on the Bayou. I really feel like I'm deeply connected to the natural human that I've evolved to be.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful.
And
I love that.
And I want to share that with my folks that think that sounds crazy.
Mm-hmm. So, what is it like when, I would imagine now, I mean, sort of fast forwarding to now,
Mm-hmm.
well, the other sort of step that we missed is that, once you made the switch, then you sort of broke through the glass ceiling on your weight, and it started
Mm-hmm.
dropping off you like
Oh, yeah.
crazy.
Right.
And ultimately you get down, like, what did you get down to?
Well, right now I weigh 203.
Okay. 203. So, yeah, you literally lost half your body weight.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you look at that before and after picture, I mean, it's hard to even fathom that is the same guy. You look like a completely different person.
Right. And it isn't the same guy at all.
Right. And you live in a small community where people know you. And what is that like when, people, I would imagine that there is this sort of cultural resistance that you experience or you butt up against. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, especially given kind of the extent to which obesity and, diabetes and things like that are a problem down where you live, that,
Mm-hmm.
in a sort of private moment, that friend who's giving you shit at the party is the same
Mm-hmm.
guy who's coming up to you and saying, "Hey man, like, what are you doing?" Because they're, they have to experience the same thing that you're experiencing when you're on the plane, or all those kind of, small little, things on a daily basis that affect their lives, deteriorate the quality of their lives. So I would imagine that maybe people are more interested and more curious than they let on initially.
And yeah, you're right. And the more I beat my drum, the more I start to see people kind of tap their foot a little bit, to use an analogy. And I mean, because I'm beating my drum, dude. Because I love these folks down there. I love where I'm from. I love the culture I was raised in, and I'm just trying to be, an example that people can follow and say, God, dog, Josh LaJohny did that? Because everybody knows me. Mm-hmm. And they know where I was, And if I can do it, man, anybody can do it. Mm-hmm. And but yes, there are folks, because I have people my age. Literally, I'm a young man still, and I got people my age that's on statin drugs. Had a heart attack last year in the gym, trying to lose weight, but not really doing the whole package. He's just on. I'm talking about one guy. I'm not gonna call him out, but it just blows my mind that I have folks my age that are dealing with this, what used to be an old man problem. Mm-hmm. And but to answer your question about are people that is giving me shit kind of maybe turning the corner, absolutely. I see it every day.
Yeah.
And but I make sure I don't pull punches like I used to, by sort of appeasing the people that I'm around. When people ask me, I tell them. I don't bring it to you, but if you got a question for me, you open the gate and I go with it,
Mm-hmm. And then you tell them you just eat plants, and then they
like they crinkle up their face, and then you're like, well, what about drinking? Oh, you don't drink anymore either? And I'm like, I may have a glass of wine maybe once
I can't even say, it's with not even enough regularity to even say how I can't even tell you the last time I'm not interested. It doesn't even appeal to me, to have. I'm cool, but I don't miss it either, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, but that one's a big one for them, even, you know, the drinking, because the drinking's a pretty big thing down here. That's kind of what we do.
Right.
But it's okay. It's okay to not. And that's what I want to try to be a beacon for. Hey, it's okay that's what we've always done. It's okay to not do what we've always done. It's okay. It's okay. The world's not going to crumble, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. You know, I mean, I'm just trying to you know, be an example.
Well, I mean, here the thing is, you don't have to tell anybody what to. You shouldn't. I mean, first of all, you shouldn't tell anyone what to do, but you don't have to, because your personal transformation is so dramatic,
right?
And you're not an outsider. You're one of them. They all know you.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is share your experience. You know, just this is what happened to me. You want to know what happened to me? This is what happened. And then
right.
They're going to do with that what they're going to do with it. But that's not your business, really, you know?
No, that's exactly right. All I can do is do that. And my grandmother used to have this little saying hanging up in the office that said, you know, actions speak louder than words. So sit down and shut up. But actions do speak louder than words. And I feel like I'm trying to scream to the top of my lungs with my actions, without preaching to people with actual words.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I like doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
You're in a position to help a lot of people, you know, and a lot of people that need help. And I think that you know, I think you're ready to do that and to serve your community. I mean, I could see you being like Phil and Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, and holding those little like workshops in the market and showing people how to strip the kale. And you know, I mean, you are perfectly situated to start your own little plant powered revolution down there, man.
And that's what I want. That's really, you know, I really want that. I really do, and I really want it. And I've done it in my immediate family. I've been able to be the impetus for some change among some people that I love very, very dearly. And that makes me immensely proud. And I tell my mom all the time and I hadn't even mentioned my mom, who just ran a 5K a couple of weeks.
Oh, wow.
My mom, who's, you know, you know how ladies are with weight. I can't say weight, but my mom has lost significant weight. And she's, you know, been a person she had scoliosis when she was little, and she's got an 18-inch rod in her back, and so that's always that built-in excuse as to why we can't do something, and she's overcome that. You know, she's overcome that in recent months, and I'm just crazy proud of what she's been able to do. My brother's blowing stuff out the water with his running and his weight loss. My wife is killing it. My little sister's killing it. Even my 80-year-old grandpa, who can't move very much, he's sitting at the house, but just through osmosis, he's got to eat plants too, because everybody else is, and he's losing weight as well.
That's amazing.
And so I want it to spread, man. And I get the idea. Something that you talk about a lot too is, you know, this idea of transitional foods, you know, and for people that aren't ready for the kale salad yet, to introduce to them something that can be delicious, regardless of whether you're a vegan or whatever you are. Those things I think are very, very powerful. Even though you can't maybe make a complete diet of said transitional foods, they are very powerful to just introduce into people's brains that eating plants don't have to suck, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you got to meet people where they're at, you know?
That's right, man. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's huge. You are permanently changing these people's lives. It's amazing. I mean, the other thing that people ask me all the time is, oh, well, it's easy for you. You live in Los Angeles, like, Whole Foods on every corner and every restaurant, has vegan options and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I can't imagine many places in the United States where it would be more challenging to kind of shop and, get the kind of foods that you need. So how does that work down there?
Dude, every grocery store's got a produce department.
I
had never been a grocery store without a produce department. And so when all else fails, hit the produce department, man. Mm-hmm. And I know, we lucky in Thibodaux because we have a homegrown business called Rouse's, and they do supermarkets. All right. And they are very receptive to what you ask for. So if you go and you say, hey, look, I would really like some, Uncle Sam's oat bran. They'll make sure that it's on the shelf for you. I love the fact that you have almond milk. And I know y'all don't do box almond milk, but I still do the almond milk. Is just easier for me. But anyway, I get the unsweetened almond milk, and it's amazing to see since I've started doing this, how much more of these items are being stocked in the grocery store because I see it happening. I see more people getting Ezekiel bread. I see more people getting the almond milk. I see more people getting raw almond butter, and quinoa. We have quinoa in bins just like they have in Whole Foods now at the Rouse's. And it's really cool to see all of this happening,
That's crazy. Well, I mean, I would imagine this is you, man. I mean, who else is going in there and requesting that stuff? I mean, you're
well, my family, yeah, we doing it as a whole, but right. Yeah, my mom was the one that asked the manager for stuff at Rouse's. I've never have personally asked the manager to get things from that Rouse's. Right. But I know my mama will. So and I know that's probably where these things where that stuff's coming from.
And what about how do you handle it when you have to go to a restaurant?
I do like you, man. I pre-eat, bro. Mm-hmm. That's what I do. I pre-eat in the event that my only option is going to be a dressingless salad.
Right.
So that way we don't have to go to some off the wall place just because Josh is a vegan or Josh and BJ, my wife as well. She's the same way. So, but I don't need to, be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big stumbling block for a lot of people, or just a fear, so they have this fear, like, if I do this, then I'm going to be that guy, who's always a pain in the butt, and so they just don't even want to try because they're projecting into the future some circumstance or situation that's going to be tricky to navigate.
I get me a big old bowl of raw oats with some almond milk and some grapes, and I'll fill up my stomach, and I'm full. And then we go to the restaurant. Right. And then that way, if they do have something there, I'll be satisfied. And if they don't, I can get a few leaves on a plate, and I'm still satisfied,
Or like maybe a baked potato or something, right?
Right. Yeah. And when it's funny when I order, I like San Pellegrino, and people look at me crooked, because I'm Josh. From Thibodaux, and I'm drinking San Pellegrino with a lime, please. And it's kind of funny, but it's good. I like it, and it's cool. But it's fun if you want to make it fun, and it can suck if you want it to be that way too.
It's your perspective on it.
That's it. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Either way. And that's just it, and my wife and I both have a love for not only here, but that beautiful gem of a city that we have here in this state called New Orleans. We're only 60 miles from it, and we have season tickets for the New Orleans Saints, and we are massive New Orleans Saints fans. And one of the biggest things that I mentioned in there that really sort of shook my world when it comes to possible and impossible was the fact that we were able to win a Super Bowl, it's settled in, but at the time It was that blew my mind.
That'll get you to rethink what's possible and impossible.
Correct.
Right?
The Saints won the Super Bowl, you know. So yeah,
If that's possible, anything, right? Yeah. So Sean Payton is like a big part of your story, right?
Yeah, Sean Payton is an amazing.
People out of the country, tell us who he is.
Sean Payton is the head coach for the New Orleans Saints.
It's the NFL football team.
NFL football team here in New Orleans, and so what happened is, you know, we've been the laughing stock for the most part of our NFL existence. We've had some little spurts of good things that happened. Those spurts also happened to coincide with the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC West, which is our division, having their dynasty at the same time that we tried to raise our little heads, and we never really accomplished anything with our little bit of winning that we did in the late 80s, early 90s. However, for the most part of our existence, we've been just a laughing stock. And what happens is we get Sean Payton after the devastation of Hurricane Katrina down here, and basically we win the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And after that,
it's like a crazy Cinderella story.
Amazing. We get Drew Brees to come over from San Diego, who shattered his throwing shoulder, and we pick him up, and he just I really think he's on the way to being, you know, arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest quarterback of all time. And Sean Payton's doing the same thing in the realm of head coach. And so those things are really sort of stretch what you believe is possible. And after the Super Bowl victory, I was still very heavy at the time. Right after the Super Bowl, I read Sean Payton's book, and he talked a lot about those. You know, he used a lot of F words in his book, and I loved it, and he kept me reading, you know, but I loved it. And he talked a lot about, you know, forget about what normal is and screw, you know, that's the way it always is down here, that sort of vibe. And, you know, just basically reach outside the box and adopt a new normal. Mm-hmm. And that really resonated with me. And I was like, okay, coach, that's what we need to do, man.
You got to break the paradigm.
That's it, bro.
You know, I mean, some places are more open-minded than others, but I think that, you know, from the way you describe it, where you live, they're not so open to new ideas.
Right. And and my thing, I think that we can see as a roadblock is our culinary prowess here, especially in the city of New Orleans. I mean, it's a global draw to go to some of the restaurants in the French Quarter and uptown and just around the city of New Orleans. It's a global draw. And when you start talking about wanting to eat healthy and wanting to be plant-based, that becomes a roadblock in people's minds. But so much of our economy is tied into this food that we, you know, sell. And I think you can flip all that on its head and say we actually have some of the most capable culinary talent in the world right here in this city. And if anybody can turn eating plants into something desirable, it's us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, not only did you overcome this, you know, tremendous amount of weight that you were carrying around, you had to do it in a community that wasn't exactly, you know, supportive initially, and you had to do it in the midst of incredible temptation by, you know, some of the tastiest food on the planet. I mean, the food in New Orleans is insane, right? So, I mean, how do you deal with cravings? Like, I think that's another thing that a lot of people really struggle with.
I don't really crave much anymore. I crave, you know, my big sins nowadays are, you know, too much nut butter, or, you know, too many hands full of raw cashews, or but as far as me craving, because of where I came from and what I'm doing now and where I'm headed, I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I don't crave, and understanding that pleasure trap concept, you know. I know you've heard about it, and I know a lot of people listening have heard about that pleasure trap and what that is.
It's Doug Lyle's idea, right?
And understanding that when I walk past a barbecue joint and bells and whistles go off in my head because of the smells that I'm experiencing, understanding why that's happening has really sort of really quieted down any cravings I might have. It really has helped. It really has helped a tremendous amount. And plus, being able to identify foods like some of the smoothies that I enjoy as like these things are just like so out of this world delicious that people that I crave those now. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you can't make an entire diet of of fruit smoothies, but that is a good one. It's a good transition for somebody to get into plant-based living, and two, it's a good place for people who are in the plant-based lifestyle to have something that really then lights up all those bells and whistles. You know?
Right. I mean, do you have people that say to you now, "Hey, listen, you look great. You lost all this weight. Like now, what's wrong with having a poor boy once in a while?"
Well, I know exactly what I tell those people. I say, me and Po' Boy done had we not talking, and that's just it. Me and Po' Boy we done fell out, bro, and I don't have. There's no love lost between me and Po' Boy.
Right. All right,
and just look at my before pictures, man.
Yeah.
And I know how I felt on the inside, and I know what it did to me and even my brain and my way I thought, and me and Po' Boy, we just don't get along anymore.
All right, I hear you, man. All right, well let's wrap it up here. But before we go, I wanted to ask you if there's anything you want to sort of let people know before we tune out here, or like some words of inspiration, or just something that people might not understand or fully realize or appreciate about adopting this new lifestyle that you have. Because a lot of people listen to the show, it's not all vegans, there's all different kinds of people. So people are curious though, and what might they not really understand that you want to make sure you get across?
The biggest misconception I think is it doesn't suck to eat only plants. I see that face that people make all the time, and it is amazing what your body, your mind, and your soul can do when you get in touch with what we're supposed to be doing naturally. And I think plants and running is exactly where it's at.
Right on, man. I love it. All right, well, big love to you, man. Keep doing what you're doing, and it'd be awesome is if you check in with me once in a while. Let me know how it's going down there. Like, I want to see you catalyze this movement.
Oh, you got it, man. I got some stuff in the works too. Me and my wife are working on some things there in the city that we look forward to sharing with folks.
Excellent, man. And what's next for you? You got a marathon you're getting ready for, right?
Yeah, I got a marathon. I'm gonna do. I think my big goal was the Rock and Roll Marathon, Rock and Roll New Orleans. Mm-hmm. But I've talked to a few people. Actually, since you reposted my picture, a whole bunch of people have been blowing me up. So I have a few people that want me to go do the Louisiana Marathon, which is in Baton Rouge, and it's going to be a month before the Rock and Roll, which I'm thinking about doing that as a prelude to the Rock and Roll Marathon.
Oh, cool.
Because there's going to be a vegan village at that Louisiana Marathon post-run, which is a pet peeve of mine. We never have good, healthy food at the event to eat after a race. There's
Right.
never. It's always like, hey,
Pizza
all right, here's the beer and the pizza and the fried shit and the jambalaya. I'm like, where's the good stuff that we need right now? Our body's starving for nutrition at this point, at this moment in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that they're gonna have that at the Louisiana Marathon really has me excited, and I think I'm gonna participate just for that fact alone.
That's cool.
So I might actually, the Louisiana Marathon might cut in front of my rock and roll marathon.
Gotcha. Yeah, just so you know, I mean, I think I emailed this to you, but when I posted that picture, that before and after picture on my Facebook page, that got the most sort of views or likes or whatever of anything I've ever posted on my Facebook page ever.
That's
like,
crazy.
It just blew it up like crazy. Like that, people were reposting it and sharing it all over the place. Like I looked at the numbers, I was like, holy smokes. That was the most popular thing I've ever posted on my page.
I literally sat in my truck looking at my iPhone, tingling, nervous, didn't know how to take it. Like, because my Twitter and Instagram and Facebook was going bananas. And I was just really? It's just me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, really? And so, yeah, that was a really cool moment, and I don't know how to thank you enough for that. That was just really, really awesome.
Thank you for doing what you're doing, and your story is incredible, and you are an inspiration. You really are, and I really hope that you embrace that and really understand the power of your story and the impact that you can have, not just on your community, but everywhere you go.
I'm trying.
All right, man. You're doing it.
Thank you, Rich.
So if people want to check you out, you're on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle again?
It's my name, which is Josh LaJaunie, which is, I'll spell the last name. Everybody knows how to spell it. My last name is LaJaunie, LaJaunie, and I'm at Josh LaJaunie on Twitter. Same thing on Instagram, and you can hook up with me on Facebook as well, man.
Right on. And I'm gonna post those before and after pictures on the page where I'm posting this episode. And I'm gonna your manifesto, man. Free Josh LaJaunie. Can I post that on my website?
Sure, buddy.
Is that cool?
Sure.
I don't know how I do that.
I started a blog.
Oh, you got a blog. Cool. What's a blog? Come on, man. I'm trying to promote your stuff.
Josh LaJaunie at WordPress.
All right.
.com, and because it's basically the same little thing that I sent you, because I just want to share it with more people all at one time, you know.
Right.
And I'll repost the link to that on Facebook and Twitter and all, for people to be able to get to it if people want to read more about it. But I plan on doing some more posts on the blog. I have a lot more to say, and we have a lot more in store. This is just the beginning, man.
Yeah, I got no doubt, man.
All
right, man. Well, peace with you.
All right.
Thanks so much for taking the time, dude. Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. And big love to your wife, BJ, too.
All right.
She can run the marathon with you?
You damn Skippy.
All right, good. All right, buddy. Peace. Plants.
Later.